Elite Facts presents
10 famous historical figures from the movies actually looked like. When it comes to adapting certain properties to the big screen, Hollywood tends to take certain liberties during production, whether it's changing the outcome of the story the film is based on, adding and taking away certain characters or elements from the original story, or changing the appearance of a character for their own adaptation. Yes, we're looking at you, Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's not completely unheard of. This isn't exclusive to fictional stories, however. Even films based off of historical events are known for changing the looks of certain historical figures just so they can secure an A-list actor to help spread out the film's appeal to the public. With this being said, here's 10 on-screen historical figures who look nothing like they do in real life.
10.
William Wallace in Braveheart. Freedom! Creative freedom, that is. Now, although the film was nominated for 10 Academy Awards and won 5 nominations, there were also a lot of historical mistakes throughout this film, as fantastic of a film as it is. The biggest criticism of them all, however, was that character Sir William Wallace, who was portrayed by Mad Max himself, Mel Gibson. The real Sir William Wallace was a Scottish knight and came from a noble family. Gibson portrayed this pretty well, however, he didn't fully commit to the role. Unlike Gibson, who was clean-shaven in the film, the real William Wallace actually had a glorious beard. Great effort, Mel, but could you not have at least worn a prosthetic beard or something?
9.
Joan of Arc in The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc. This one is pretty straightforward as it pretty much speaks for itself. Milla Jovovich was chosen to play the role of the Maiden of Orleans in the 1999 film The Messenger. Now, she doesn't exactly look much like Joan of Arc when compared to her paintings, not to mention the haircut she had in the film bears no resemblance to any painting, including the historical figure. However, it must be said that her portrayal of Arc was nothing short of fantastic.
8.
King Henry VIII in The Tudors. So I think King Henry VIII's hefty appearance is common knowledge to us all. You'd probably think that if someone was to be casted in the role of the former King of England, it would be someone of a much heavier stature. Well, not quite. In the TV series The Tudors, the role of King Henry VIII was performed by extremely talented actor Jonathan Rhys Meyers. Now, although he did exceptionally well job at portraying good old Harold, he didn't quite match his appearance. You could argue that he's portraying a younger Henry, who was allegedly in peak physical condition. However, towards the end of the series, when the character was older, he looked nothing like any of the paintings.
7.
Alexander the Great in Alexander. Despite the 2004 film Alexander being a fun little popcorn flick, the film does contain many historical accuracies, and we're not talking small little inaccuracies. We're talking major ones that tend to lack on a lot of clarity when portraying the life of Alexander the Great. These inaccuracies were the main target of criticism by film critics. But we're not here to talk about the story inaccuracies. Despite the great performance given by Colin Farrell, you have to admit that his appearance isn't up to snuff with that of the paintings that portray the famous historical figure.
6.
Xerxes I in 300. Good God, 300 was an epic film. It was definitely one of Zack Snyder's best, next to his remake of Dawn of the Dead, but that's just our humble opinion. Anyway, what you're about to learn here is that although 300 was awesome, it did take a few artistic liberties when it comes to the designs of characters. The character of 4th King of Kings of the Achaemenid dynasty of Persia has not been clearly defined. Opinions are different. Some people say he was an arrogant and conceited, while others consider him a wise and experienced king. In the movie, there is a mix of both previously stated opinions. Because of this, his appearance looks like nothing we've seen before. In a way, it's sort of worked in the film's favor as it gave the film a villain that'll be remembered for years to come just on his appearance alone.
5.
King Leonidas I in 300. Continuing with 300, we now move on to the appearances of the film's main protagonist, King Leonidas I. Now, according to every school history book, during the first 10 years of his reign, Leonidas wasn't exactly that great of a king as he did nothing memorable during that time. Only at the Battle of Thermopylae, this ruler had shown all his strength, fought heroically, and died. In the movie, Gerard Butler played his role as brave and great ruler from the beginning. Now, he had the beard and facial hair down to a T, and also wore very historically accurate clothing to that of what the real deal wore in paintings. However, Butler looked far more fearsome compared to the real Leonidas. Again, this is something that definitely benefited the film more, as it gave the film a very memorable protagonist in a very similar vein to that of what it did with its antagonist.
4.
King Arthur in King Arthur: Legend of the Sword. Next up, we have a historical figure from a fairly recent film, King Arthur: Legend of the Sword, which starred Charlie Hunnam in the titular role. The hype of this film was unbelievable, as it looked to be one of the biggest hits of 2017. However, thanks to word of mouth, the film was a massive flop, as it only made $147.8 million at box office on a budget of $175 million. Now, Charlie Hunnam is a fantastic actor. However, his appearance in this film didn't match up to that of King Arthur at all. Just compare him to paintings of the historical figure, and you can easily see what we're talking about.
3.
Cleopatra in Asterix and Obelix: Mission Cleopatra. Now, here's the thing, we're not singling out one actress for their appearance compared to the historic figure, as most actresses that have taken the reins of playing Cleopatra kind of don't fit the bill. Thing we notice here is that Cleopatra was darn beautiful, as she had won the heart of Roman dictator Julius Caesar as well as that of his successor Mark Antony. But actual history says that she was short and unattractive. Despite the attractive claim, however, Hollywood would lead us all on to believe that she was in fact a very beautiful woman, as you had the likes of Vivien Leigh, Sophia Loren, Elizabeth Taylor, and Monica Bellucci portray her character.
2.
Salvador Dali in Little Ashes. Oh, come on! He's just wearing a pencil-marked stash and a wig he bought at Hot Topic. Okay, they at least got the right idea of what Salvador Dali. However, this looks like what a kid would use to dress up as him for Halloween. Also, if your kid is looking to dress up as Dali for Halloween, he's probably going to get a rock in his trick-or-treat bag. Anyway, Robert Pattinson did his best to live up to the expectations of fans and played the role of young Dali as well as he could. And in all fairness, he was pretty good in the role. Everything was good except the mustache. Seriously, don't use mascara and don't buy one of those crappy comical stashes from the kids section in Dollar Tree. It doesn't work for Hollywood blockbusters.
1.
Emperor Commodus in Gladiator. Okay, without looking at his appearance in the film for a minute, you have to admit that Joaquin Phoenix was awesome in the role of Emperor Commodus in the film Gladiator. However, we compared to paintings, statues, and busts of the historical ruler, you have to admit that Phoenix was way too clean-cut for the role. Despite the film being fantastic, the movie also has been subjected to a lot of criticism. Once again, the criticism being directed towards historical inaccuracies. The biggest is that real Commodus ruled Rome for almost 13 years, whilst in the movie he reigns ineffectively for around 2 years.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.